Oh, I asked to update layout. Welcome to the stream, everyone. We're back with John and Daisy. Daisy, the Venice healer, and we got John Allgood. I called you John Goodman in the first interview.
John
I don't
Goodman.
know why.
I mean, John Goodman's pretty cool.
He is pretty cool, but you're not him. Like, you should have been like, "What the fuck, Steve? What? I'm not John Goodman." But yeah, how have you guys been since jail?
Good. I mean, it really put things in perspective. I'm just happy to be home. Daisy makes amazing food. Have like a lovely little dinner. Did some stuff at the dog park today. Man, how do you feel?
Humble.
Humble. Okay.
I
seen.
humble.
Yeah. Okay. I seen that you guys uploaded like more videos to the channel since you've been out. I reacted to. I don't know if you guys saw that I reacted to them. Do you think it's smart to be uploading those at this time with like all the court stuff going on?
We have nothing to hide.
Okay.
You guys want to see what we did that was warranted? Like whatever. You want to see what we did to warrant that kind of reaction? I mean, there you go.
But like, I know before we started the live, you're saying that like they could add like new charges at any time. You're saying, right? Like, so.
Yeah, but we didn't do anything in those videos.
Okay. Well, I don't want, like I said, I don't want to get you in trouble or anything. But I remember like in the videos, there's like references to a gun and stuff. So like that's why I was like, that probably shouldn't be a good. Are you planning on uploading any more videos like that, or was that like the gist of those?
That's all the videos we have.
Yeah, that was it. Now what has been filmed, we don't know.
Like from other parties that you're not like acquaintances with, just like who were at the scene when you got pulled over, like down the street.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I'm assuming like I don't know. I search Google, I search YouTube for your guys' names just to see like if you guys have uploaded anything new or anything. I figure like if the people who filmed it knew who you were, they would have uploaded it like under your name. So I guess
people definitely saw and filmed. There was 2 guys on foot who stopped and filmed, and I'm sure it'll come out soon.
I mean, it wasn't like we were just kind of we were a little bit preoccupied with our conversation with the police, so we don't know.
There was definitely 2 guys filming us though, and there was like 20 guns pointed at us, and both of us had our arms up in the air. And then John got shot by that non-lethal round. And
yeah, it's all detailed in the Santa Monica like close up. So I mean, it's the same conversation because there's only one way that it happened,
Right.
John and I were singing to each other across the cells. We were 7 cells away from each other. I was in number 3. He was in number 10. And we didn't know that the other one was there for a long time. And I heard his voice, and it was pretty cool having him close by. And then they moved him out. And then I had to go to the women's jail, which really sucked.
Yeah, that was an interesting ethical dilemma, right? I stay near her, and we were reading Bible verses, singing to each other. It was really nice to be able to talk to her because you're just in a cell with no real communication. Or leave and try to get her out, right?
Yeah.
So I have like this horrible feeling I'm leaving you here, but I need to be outside to do anything. So that was a tough choice for sure.
Right. And so you guys do have a lawyer now though, so everything's like that's why Daisy's out right now and everything's good with that.
We have a really good lawyer. And if he hadn't gone back and taken the rap for me, it would have been way worse. John went back from my court date and waived all his rights and stuff, and basically they like put the charges on him, and there was girls getting 16 months for just having a couple bullets at her place that her boyfriend left. So it pretty scary, and I was definitely facing serious time. I was facing mandatory 3 years if I got convicted. And it's a blessing in disguise, I think, because I have these other court dates coming up that I wasn't going to use an attorney, and now I'm going to use an attorney. And also, it kind of like is just pushing John and I in a different direction, where rather than, I don't use the term protesting, I use the term star manning. So star manning, unlike protesting, you talk about what's wrong and what happened and who's at fault. Star manning, you join people where they're at. You try to see their good intentions and a way forward for everyone to collaborate. So rather than like going, even if it's star manning, I'm still in resistance to what is. John and I are shifting our whole thing. Our attorney said to, but also it's like time for me to be a boss again. I've been a millionaire since I was 22 years old, and it's time for me to make John a very rich, powerful man, and my tribe very rich and powerful. So
John, that's a good thing. He rolled his eyes. He's like, I don't want to be rich.
We're putting our energy and attention into my dojo, and I'm the creator of Flow Strokes. It's going to be way huger than Bikram Yoga. Flow Strokes is, you guys could Google it, Flow Strokes, and you'll see Daisy the Venice Healer pop up. I learned how to dance on bodies. It's a combination of yoga, dance, hypnotherapy, and massage. And John and I are about to blow it up. And we're going to have our healing arts dojos, first yoga teacher training. We're just going to focus on making money with our yoga studio and helping people with our nonprofit. We have our 501c3 from like all different places. We're acquiring other nonprofits. So we're kind of like putting love crusading on hold to become more members of society, like so that we get some more clout. And we've already had our first meeting with Tracy Park, our representative in Venice Beach. She's very unpopular right now, so she needs the superhero of the homeless people, which I've been called to help her out because right now she doesn't look good with the homeless. There was people protesting her today between 2 and 4 o'clock, and that's Tracy Park. And the protest was at Venice Boulevard and Lincoln Boulevard. And we're also going to be meeting with Karen Bass, the mayor, and we're going to start getting grants because since we have a 501c3, like we want to start getting taken seriously for our work.
So I guess so with the star manning thing, like are you still like what would that entail exactly? Like is that still like speaking out publicly, or you just mean like making effective change in the community through the 501c3, which would be like a charity organization, right?
So we're doing both. I mean, the protesting, what we got to do to Starman is really talk.
We're not going to be doing that right now.
We're trying to bring awareness, right? Like if you ever go to like these places, it's very difficult for people even to feel like they can even speak up. They're terrified. I mean, they're terrified to walk into a courthouse.
Have you guys ever thought of maybe like just speaking? Oh, you can still speak publicly, but like online, right? Like you can speak not outside, like you can speak like from the privacy of your own home, but about these issues and maybe even reach a wider audience and be more effective. Like you could do like some editing and stuff,
like going in the
to
community.
captivate a wider audience.
No, that's definitely, yeah, that's valid.
I mean, I like going to the courthouses because you make one-on-one connections. I go to the children and family courthouse, and I have moms come up to me all the time who are going through what I'm going through. So I like going right to the courthouse.
And we'll actually even have people who are afraid to say anything come up and be like, we have this situation. Can you at least talk to these people to see if like they'll listen?
Is there like bulletin boards at the courthouse where you could like put up like maybe you could put up like a sign for your YouTube channel to educate mothers like that, so you don't have to like go in person, just like until the heat dies down or anything, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we have relationships with Rico, who started partnerships in LA, and he already said that he's going to send people to do court-ordered programs, and they'll get credit for parenting class by attending my nonviolent communication classes. So we already have ends with them. We're just gonna like hold off on speaking and try to like be in the system and be working with the system.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the thing, is Daisy has some pretty fantastic ideas. It's just they've been consistently stonewalled across like multiple avenues. And then people kind of just, I know how this feels, like you just kind of get dipped out at the finish line. Like you're about to accomplish something and then everybody just kind of grabs their bags and like gets what they can and just dips out. And that's not what's happening here. I see like a pretty clear vision of all the work that she's already done. And it's really about just helping these people and working through the proper channels to get it done. I mean, and that's the thing is, you know, my background's in business, logistics. I know how to like work, make shit happen, make it go. So between those two things, we got a real shot here.
Okay. So like you were saying like about the nonviolence courses, is that going to be part of like, so the 501c3, I guess I'm not too familiar with how it works other than like, I know there's like this scammer guy, James Soroka, who was like trying to hide behind he said he had a 501c3, but he didn't. And he was starting a cult and stuff. I guess like, is it gonna encompass like all of the things that you're trying to do, like the nonviolence classes, like the food drive, or is that like a separate
We
thing?
have a garden.
We actually have a garden now too. I mean, we're focusing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we got a full like yard dedicated to organic foods
with bunnies, and
it's pretty cool. I mean, people are stepping up from behind the scenes.
People are signing over their 501c3s to us
and their vans
and their vans, and we have a guy doing our website and video editing and not charging, and people are just wanting to support our work. We have a compost pile.
But
while I was in jail, everyone kept putting their old food scraps on the compost pile, so there was so much to bury when I got out of jail.
And I'm open to suggestions here. The people in the community are seeing the stuff that we're doing. They're like, wow, and they're donating their assets and their labor there. But the people like kind of outside, they're not like, we're not getting like real donations in terms of like money. It's mostly just kind of like people who are nearby being like, wow, these people are like Daisy and John are like really trying here. So it's hard to like bridge that gap in credibility. Understandably, I mean, there's a lot of scammers and stuff. I put a lot of my own money into this. I'm literally, you know, I had to wash my hands because they're just covered in soot and grease from like moving around different things in cars and vans. To try to get food to people.
And filling other people's gas tanks.
But yeah, like, you know, I'm not getting reimbursed for any of this shit. Sure, I might be able to write it off later in taxes, but like I'm trying like that's if you have any ideas, man, of bridging that gap in credibility. Because Daisy's gotten a bad rap.
Well,
which is really annoying. Like bad things keep getting accused of her.
I mean, like Mudpit saying, like you need to be qualified and experienced for people to be teaching parenting, not people who are legally like restrained from their kids, right? So I guess, like you said, you're already in talks like with the people who are coordinating stuff with the government. So I don't know exactly like.
Most of the people who teach parenting classes are.
Let's be like real. Let's be like real careful here. Okay. So, just to clarify, these people come to us in dire need and are just like, help me. My husband just literally beat the shit out of me and I have nowhere to go. I don't want to go to the shelter because I've been abused there before.
Which has happened to us before.
My children are fucking devastated. They have earphones on right now so we can't hear them. And it's like, okay, what do we do? And it's not like that's the thing is it's not like we're seeking out and trying to like teach people what to do. It's like people are coming to us and being like, fuck.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, okay, really what you really just need to do is just be very kind and compassionate and patient. I mean, that's like one of the reasons why I'm basically getting evicted is because I offer people like a safe place to stay. And my landlord comes up to me and like, fuck you. I'm just like, all right.
John and I are the only ones that step up. There was a guy beating the crap out of his woman.
So like teaching, you're not talking about teaching, just just trying to meet like basic needs. You know what I mean? Like we're trying to put like a formal face to some of this stuff, but at the end of the day, like I'm looking out at we sweep a lot of this shit under the rug so people don't get to see it. Okay, but in the interim between the times when the police can clear everybody out to look good for the summer, there's a lot of like pain, a lot of people suffering, and a lot of the people who fell through the cracks. So we're trying to like fill those holes, and it is hard, especially like along the, especially since along the way we are literally getting slandered, made fun of, criticized, and just
I know the internet's mean, so I don't mind. I don't care about what people say, as long as they're watching. But it bothers John.
Well, it bothers me because it's like, I'm getting calls like death threats and like people trying to report me and shit for literally like, bro, y'all gave $1,000 and it was like 4 people, and we made a legal miracle happen off of $1,000. Okay, we got a 1 in 1,000 chance of my team getting those legal charges dropped. Like,
So that's what we mean by the slander, though, is like people saying that the GoFundMe was a scam. Because like there's a couple other rumors that I guess we could go over too that I've always like presented as rumors, right?
Sure. I just used that $1,000 to pay the lawyer. I can show you the text messages and the receipt. Okay, so thank you for that stuff, but
you can see how it looks though, right? Like if she is. Like that initially was to get her out of jail, right? Like we needed to get her out of jail. Now that she's out of jail, like there isn't like an urgency.
We have to pay the lawyer $7,500.
Still got to pay the lawyer.
We have 5 court dates coming up.
And so, like, if we don't pay the lawyer by that court date, like, do you go back to jail? Like,
I mean, it's possible. I'm not a lawyer, but it's
we have to pay the lawyer.
It just says like very specifically. And paying for Daisy legal fees. I mean, what else do you want from me?
Says that now, like, because
you actually pointed it out to me to make sure that it was like clear. So I appreciate
just so people know what they're donating to, right?
And I also want you guys to understand, like, you're sitting at your computer or wherever you guys are, like reading about it. Oh, why don't they do this now? Why don't they do this now? I am literally, while this shit was happening, I am on the back of my bike with one hand on my phone, going down a highway, texting and calling people, trying to figure out, do I have enough money to pay the lawyer? Oh shit, if she doesn't get bail right here, she has to be in prison for another night where she's obviously not having a great time. You got to have a little compassion and grace. While I'm working 2 jobs, okay.
And doing and picking up all the slack of
I'm my bad for not communicating perfectly, but the money went to the lawyer fees, and we didn't have to pay bail. We walked away.
Right. But this is also though like a situation that it did escalate because of you. Like the videos that you posted, like you were instigating the situation, were you not?
You got a right to publicly assemble. None of what I said was violent, and if it was a peaceful protest.
Like, this has gone too far. Like, we gotta go. We should get out of here. And you're still going, and then it results in that. I can understand being frustrated and everything, but you can't get mad at other people for a situation that you caused, and then being mad that they didn't do it.
So we have a right to do that. Number 1, number 2. Daisy wanted to leave. Why do you think I shared? I just basically waived all my legal rights to privacy with our attorneys. Just like, take it. And the goal, and I made it very explicit in my messaging to my lawyer. Your goal is to get all of her charges dropped and put onto me.
And so is that what's going to end up happening? Like, are you going to be
the moment we got arrested, he was trying to take
because everything that I did was completely and totally legal.
Do you still have like the restraining order though on you from your ex?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that like require you to not like have firearms though then?
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea.
Yeah, but they didn't know about it.
Well, they probably do now.
Well, I guess that, like that was like we already went over that in the last interview, so I thought that like we were good on that. But I guess like the other rumors are kind of silly. Like I don't think like this would
Well, I also
compromise
just want to say
anything.
I've never had a restraining order put on me. I don't know what they're like, and I mean that's new territory for me as well.
Next
So
rumor.
yeah,
All right. Yeah, these ones are kind of silly. Like, oh, one more thing though. Before I forget, because you were saying before, I do think it's admirable. If people are actually coming up to you, you're not seeking them out. Because before it made it sound like you were starting this whole call to love thing for people to seek you out before going to like the police or DCFS or anything like that.
That's what we
But
want, but that's what the call.
if people are actually coming to you and you're helping them, like I would feel the same way. I'd be like, look, if you don't have anywhere else to go, if like the shelter is abusive, like you can stay here, you know. And
yeah.
I do
I
think
mean,
that's
like
admirable.
straight up, dude. This is like I've put a lot of effort and time into this stuff. I'm not looking for praise, but the thing is, you know, I don't have the means. I lost my job because of these videos online too. I lost my, medical sales thing I've been doing for like 10 years. That's gone.
That was one of the rumors. So
they fired me.
So
they fired me yesterday, actually.
They fired you yesterday?
2 days ago.
What was the reason for the videos?
This is what my CEO, and it's Euromedica, by the way, is where I worked. Tim Cook basically called me and said, listen, due to your situation, we're gonna have to let you go. And then they made up a reason about me not selling enough and fired me.
But do you think it may be because like the videos show you like doing other stuff instead of like selling, I guess? Like I don't know when the work hours are supposed to be. Do you think like maybe it was like because of that, or they just said it was because of the sales and your situation? They weren't specific about like what situation.
They fired me 3 weeks before 2 to 3 weeks before my contract allowed me to get equity in the company. And I closed 2 of the largest hospitals so yeah, they just don't want to pay me. And then they saw this and were just like, all right, see ya.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you actually brought it up. You're like, you don't have the means to, be doing this, right? Gary Vee actually told James Soroka this. He was like, I get like wanting to help, but you need to have the means to give to help people, right? So
here's my question to you. All right. I'm sitting here. I got 100 mouths to feed. Okay. Literally. And my 2 van connections have fallen through. They can't do it. It's 5 a.m. What do you do? I got $300 left in my bank account. I can save that $300 maybe, or I can spend it to help these people. Okay. I made that call. $300.
Well, but if that's your prerogative and that's what you want to do, but don't you think you could help more? Like maybe if you built stuff up a bit, and then you would have more.
Hey, we're trying to do both at the same time. All right, like that's the problem. Is like, yeah. If you want to go through all the proper channels,
our van just got stolen.
If you want to go through all the proper channels of things, and it takes like a year.
Oh,
A year for what?
Like almost all of this stuff, like
for
all
the
this
501c3 to go through.
For like, yeah, so we have to purchase, like, there's a lot of things we have to put in process, and there's ways to like transfer these things, but we're trying to do both at the same time. So yeah, definitely stretch thin, but what I'm trying to show is there's like an immediate need, right? Like I got people asking me like, help me. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do what I can, and it makes a difference because
they came to us to save the food line because the guy Dan is not around anymore. He's in hospice. So
yeah, and everything
takes over, or for decades, everything this guy has built is gonna fall apart.
Yeah. So
is that the 501c3 that's being signed over to you is like Dan's because he's no longer able to run it?
There's 3 different 501c3s we're affiliated with.
Yeah, like we're working on getting those channels are up in place, and we're also expanding on them. But you're right. But the thing is there's a big difference between sitting in an office or somewhere and being like, oh, like we'll get this ready on our once I finish sell like my corporate equity and for my cushy desk job. But when I'm sitting here and I'm literally breaking up fights like 10 feet away from my building, people are coming here with
not just breaking up fights, you're stopping men from beating their women,
beating the shit out of women.
And then he walks up to them and they all say the same thing. I know you could kick my ass.
No, and we did it with no fighting. I took a chop to the leg from somebody with a scooter because it was 5-on-1 just right in the front of my apartment.
Someone threw water on me today, and I was telling all the brothers, I was like, hey, threw water on me. Go talk to him. And I turn around and John's in the guy's face like this. So he always.
The thing is like there's an immediate situation, right? Like, and then we have families and children, and also like just people getting like kind of ripped apart at each other because their marriages are falling apart and their kids. It's nuts.
They get arrested for domestic violence instead of having a mediator show them how to talk about their feelings and needs.
These people's lives are literally
in healthy ways. They get arrested.
If there's not like a reaction, someone doesn't step in immediately, like it's bad. So like that's the thing is like the immediacy is. I just want to paint you that picture. Right, because if there's a big difference when you just read about it in the newspaper or something, but it's literally outside your window, knocking on your door, like help me. That's. Are you gonna say no? You're gonna say no to like
community members,
a woman and 2 kids who don't have anywhere to stay at like 8:00 at night, like And
like the community resources for this, like, you're saying like they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, or else they would be going to them.
Well, they're doing they're over capacity. Number one.
I want to answer this question.
Yeah, go ahead.
We want to offer a reframe. So instead of us paying industry workers who don't have willingness and capacity to go help these people, we're matching community members up with people in their area who have willingness and capacity and want to show up. And there's a new movement starting right now. It's called the mental health awareness. It's called the age of information. It's called healing. It's called waking up, whatever you want to call it. And the movement that's starting involves people coming together, and this person has this kind of trauma, this person has the same kind of trauma. Okay, well, they're supposed to heal each other. This person has this kind of trauma. This person does not have that kind of trauma. This person has no business trying to help this person because they don't understand each other. And what we need is a reframe. Instead of having these people who don't understand each other and don't have capacity and don't have willingness and they're overworked and they're showing up, we need to stop that. And we can see it with Alcoholics Anonymous, where there's been 90 years with no controversy, no scandal. It's alcoholics helping alcoholics, where before we had entire government systems, entire branches with their own judges and their own asylums and their own prisons dedicated just to drunkardness. Drunkardness used to be a thing where you could get declared a drunkard and never cure it. Like, you cannot cure these people. They're done. Forget it. Like, that's not even a thing. It's not even a thing anymore. How many people do we do that to? Like, I lost my kids. Oh, no, she cannot, like, done. She's can't help her. It's not true. And it's the same with, like, I would go to say pedophiles. With anyone who wants to heal can heal, but a pedophile cannot heal from someone who, my thing is like violence and alcoholism. And I need to help people who have problems with violence and alcoholism because that's what I've healed from. And in order to hold on to it, AA says you got 12 steps, because the 12th one, you don't hold on to your spiritual awakening, which, by the way, is guaranteed to you. If you do your 12 steps, you're guaranteed a spiritual awakening. You want to hold on to it, you have to give it away to someone else. You don't just get to keep it unless you give it away. Therefore, the alcoholic benefits by helping another alcoholic. So what we're going to do, I know John took down all the suicide and stuff. Don't pay attention to that. It's going back up. And we're going to have suicidal people who are not suicidal anymore helping them. We're going to have the next door neighbor call. Like, their technology intercepts all the 911. We're going to have people in the area responding because there's people who don't want 911. There's people who don't trust LAPD. They don't trust the mental health people, which, by the way, mental health people don't help you. They 5150, they don't help you. People are like, put them in a mental asylum. That doesn't help people. If we want to actually change people, we need to give them a sense of meaning and purpose. We need to honor that we have biological, psychological, social, spiritual, emotional needs that are going unmet, and then people act out when their needs are unmet. So the reframe is community members with similar struggles helping other community members with the same struggles instead of industry.
And
I can
I would just,
understand like where you're coming from for
the
sure. I
only
think
the
there's
only thing I want
probably
to add,
yeah, for
just
sure.
like just two sentences. There's the vision. I'm just asking, like, if I'm gonna house a woman and her children, can my neighbors not report me? Like straight up, can we just like change the culture that much where it's like, oh, like if someone's
We didn't
helping,
want him letting people shower here.
yeah, like if I'm
Help that.
volunteering my own resources, can you guys just like fuck off? At the very least, like don't get in the way is all I'm asking. Like that's yeah.
I don't know if
So,
the neighbors will be watching this, but no, like I agree. Like if it's your place, if you're paying, are you paying like the utilities for it or just the like is rent or the utilities included in the rent?
I'm not sure. Something around, but I mean, you know what I'm saying. It's
Yeah,
kind of,
I would understand like why the landlord might be upset though if like we were using
but
more
like
water.
that general idea, like, you know, your first instinct if someone's in trouble shouldn't be to clutch your pearls and be like, oh my God, I might lose my $10 watch. It should be probably like, okay,
How can I help?
how can I help? Yeah, exactly. Like, so like, you know, community aspect is big, you know, and
Right.
that
No,
takes a lot
I
of
can
work.
appreciate like the vision and everything. I think like from a legal standpoint, there's probably a safer way to go about it. Like I think like I don't think you're not saying like this should be a mandatory thing, right? This is like an optional thing that people would have the option to use instead, right? Like if
We
someone
want them to show up, and then if they
like if
want us
someone
there,
wanted to just call 911, they could just call 911. Like you're not trying to intercept anything, right?
we're gonna
No, we're not.
we're gonna show up because think about it. If someone calls 911 on their neighbors and they say, "Oh, I hear them beating their kids," well, we'll most likely we'll show up first before LAPD because they take forever. We can figure out what's going on. We can help coach them. A lot of times people say the wrong thing when the cops go, or they might be intoxicated, or we can like make the situation safe because we need to acknowledge that law enforcement is dangerous. We need to acknowledge that our court systems are traumatizing and that we're harming people and it's not working and we need something else.
And even here's the main thing here is it's about reframing the conversation so that if you and I get into a dispute or there's an issue, we can have a comfortable conversation with the people that are most importantly involved. It doesn't have to be us, but just like let's start talking about a better idea than just slapping restraining orders on people or throwing them indefinitely into like court systems that are just going to cause a ton of problems. Parental alienation. Like, why don't we just?
And why are courts in our families anyways? Why aren't we resolving rifts and connecting deeper?
Let's just talk with the
honoring
community
each other's
first.
space.
Let's roll it by the brain trust, right? Before we fucking just start destroying people's lives.
Well, like I think it would be important. I think we have like society ever since COVID and like social media in general. Like I think there should be an emphasis to encourage like community friendships and like, yeah, maybe we don't need it doesn't need to get to the point of calling the police. If maybe you have like I think did you call it an empathy angel like before?
Yeah,
Yeah, like
empathy angel.
yes, but you could even like you can make an app called like Empathy Angels where it matches you with an empathy angel based off of like whatever trauma or anything, and then like it could be an optional thing. You can make money off of it, then you could go run for Congress and maybe affect change from within or something. You know what I mean? But like I don't think trying to intercept 911 calls or anything is going to do any good. It probably end up in a worse situation. You know what I mean? And then you won't get very far, right?
Anything cops do is a worse situation. Trust me. I was in a domestic violence situation with my ex-husband, Prince, and I would have to run to the neighbors. Like I would have to run. And the neighbors, they would like come out threatening to call the cops and shit. I'd be like, why are you gonna snitch? The only thing that made my ex-husband stop hitting me is because I ran and asked for help. It turned out that our next door neighbors were also they were hitting each other. That the guy was also beating the girl. She wasn't hitting him, but they were going through the same stuff we were going through. We ended up helping each other. Now all of a sudden she's not available for it either. I'm not available for it. That's how we heal. When the cops come, they don't do anything. All they do is punish you. If someone punishes you or rewards you, your reason for doing it is not because you've had a beautiful change of heart or because you care about others. It's because you have a fear of punishment, and that's coercive giving. And we need natural giving where people have a change of heart, where they don't hit because they learn how to discharge healthy violence, because we all have violence, but we don't all hit. And I'm sick and tired of families like mine being ravaged because I had wet brain, just like most people, for 3 to 5 years. When you stop drinking, you got wet brain. When you have your kids removed, you have a healthy response, which means you act traumatized, and then people label you crazy. You're not fucking crazy. I've had 3 mental health evaluations saying I have no mental health diagnosis, but do you want to know what PTSD, what creates it and what doesn't? They've done studies where all the same little boys who went off to war from 5 years old to 12 years old, they studied them across the board. The only little boys who had PTSD were the ones who returned home and were not received with warm welcome. If we are received and accompanied and we feel like we make sense, we can heal from our trauma. But if somebody looks at us with malice and judges us and treats us in a codependent way, which is exactly what our government does, the police show up and investigate, they don't receive you with warm welcome, that creates PTSD. So we need to look at the way that social workers and police and courts are interacting. And if you look at the behaviors and you want to label and diagnose everything, well, label and diagnose the industry, because that's some codependent bullshit. And we need healthy attachment styles, which means we need relationship, trust, interdependence, care, and unconditional belonging. And if you don't have those things, you have no business in being in the lives of family.
And what I want to also I'll add just a small thing to that so you can talk, Steve. I feel bad for the cops. Okay, they didn't sign up to be people's like marital relations therapist, right? I've
people's worst day. They should be.
I've been the one where like someone pulls me into a conversation that I have no freaking clue what's going on, and suddenly I'm down a rabbit hole. Like, oh my god, like these people are dividing up their assets in their house. There's like someone got fucking beaten, another person got their van stolen, stealing grandma's social security check. Like, and I'm just like, what? And I see that in the police who show up to try to help, and they're just like, bro, I got a gun and a badge. Like, what do you want me to do? I can write down a citation and like submit it to the court. But like, they're like, I feel bad for the positions that these people are being put in, because, you know, a police officer isn't supposed to be your fucking marital counselor, dude.
Well, no, but they're supposed.
And they don't want to be, right? Like,
why is brutish force available and not empathy and mediation and rift resolution? Like, you call and try to get help, you can't get help, but you'll get enforcers.
And then there's the horrible realization that the more questions you ask, the less anybody seems to be right, and you're just kind of like,
Well, it's like John said, right? Like, the cops aren't meant to be like marriage counselors and stuff, which is probably I don't think the cops are trained to be empathetic or anything. But there has to be consequences for actions. Like, I don't know, I'm not familiar with the childhood army trauma study or whatever, but I do know that there are grown-ups who have been to war, come back, and still have PTSD, whether or not they were received with love. And I don't think that like a crime
check again
with like
agreeing with you,
like a boop on the snoot, opposed to like a consequence, because that's just gonna like there's sociopaths out there, there's psychopaths. I do think like some things there need to be consequences for sure. And I'm not against like I said, the empathy angel thing or whatever, but I don't think like intercepting people who are trying to call 911 would be beneficial to either party, in my opinion.
Let me ask you a question. All the funds and money allocated to people who are being punished, What if we reframed all of that, and instead of using the money to punish them, what if they could allocate that money for their own recovery and their own healing? And also, if you ask yourself 2 questions, the first one, what do you want the person to do? Then if you, after that first question, you might think punishment is a good idea. But if you ask yourself the second question, which is what do you want their reason for doing that to be, you'll see that punishment is always a bad idea, that it never, ever works. Because if you punish someone, what is their reason going to be for doing it? Right? And if you want someone's reason for doing something to be because that's who they are, because that's what they've learned, because they care and want to contribute to the thriving of all, we don't want people to give coercively. And what we need to realize right now is we are spiritually sick. And as long as we do not have God and we do not have nature in our systems, all we're dealing with is merit-based systems. Merit-based systems use deserve language, so some people's needs get met, other people's needs get met because it gets explained away as to why. But if we included God and nature, then we would never ever have merit-based systems ever, which are only because of one lie that we believe that we can own. So now everything is just to defend. But if we have need-based systems, then all of a sudden, instead of owning, we belong to. And if we belong to all of life, and if nature and God are in the center of everything, then we become the caretakers, and we've lost our way. We've lost our way, and these systems are to command and control and to colonize and to categorize and to put everyone in little rows and make sure everyone is labeled and diagnosed. This is not our way. We're supposed to emerge in the flow of life and not
Well, I
have to
do
try to
know
figure everything out.
you do think like everyone is like inherently good, right?
Yeah.
I
No, I
disagree
wouldn't
with
say
you.
that. I'm
You wouldn't
I'm
say
not
that?
gonna say good
Oh,
or bad. What I'm gonna say is
okay.
this: every single behavior is a strategy to meet a need.
Mm,
Every behavior is a strategy to meet a need. If you do a behavior, it is to meet a need. And if you look at the behavior and you punish that behavior and say, oh, this is bad, then all you're going to do is create more of that behavior, because whatever you put your attention and energy on, that's what will expand what you will create in the universe. If you take your attention and you take it off of the behavior and you go just a layer or two deeper, then you will see there is a universal need, and it may be a sabotaging, tragic way of trying to service that need. But if we put our attention on the need, we can be conscious and creative. And right now, we're stupid because we're not connected to God and nature.
well,
And
I could
I
even agree that like the prison system is probably flawed. And like if you look at other countries, like I don't know, we would have to like use examples like murder, right? I don't think that like a murderer should be like, oh, we love you, please don't murder again, because some
I
people
was
are just
in jail with murderers last week.
they're in jail for a reason because they murdered
No, they
someone, right?
shouldn't be. Not one of
You
them.
don't think
They
they
were
should
all
be?
snuggly and sweet, just like me. I saw no difference.
and you also got to keep like so
Don't do that.
to answer. I think no, I don't think people are fundamentally good. Okay, we're
Mm,
fundamentally good because in order for us to exist, we have to be good to each other. We're a communicative species. We evolved to have moral standards that are similar across every society. Ethically, they're different, and the morality is something that is always good, regardless context. Ethics is how we realize those, practice those morals, right? So just so you know the difference between the two. Um,
I mean,
but
like I would have to disagree just based off of like some countries and like they have fucked up laws and shit, right? Like I think North Korea.
laws are ethics, right?
I
Morality,
would have to assume that their ethics would be flawed if their laws are like, you know,
yeah, you can have
invasive
flawed
to their
ethics.
citizens. We were having the discussion about like, you know, the locked case, right? And it's your right to privacy and everything. That doesn't exist in North Korea, right?
So
And you can be like snapped up like that. So I
we
don't think, yeah.
we do in the United States, and this is why Roe v. Wade failed. Okay, and also under the Alien and Sedition Acts, when these questions were being answered, we actually don't have a right to privacy. Okay, you have a right to property ownership. Okay, when you have a locked container with a lock, that is property. It's not about a privacy thing. If you take that container away without a warrant, without probable cause, without due process, you are denying someone the right to their property.
But if
Privacy
you
is a
don't have
very
the right to
weak.
privacy, they would already know what's in the case. They would, you know what I'm saying? Like because you wouldn't have a right. They would know because they'd be seeing everything you do, right? Um,
Well, so the thing is the property in this case would be the lock on the container, right? You need the property of the information and the property of the lock to open it. So it's a property rights issue at its fundamental core. Privacy laws are kind of flippant. It's why Roe v. Wade got overturned. Is specifically because privacy is not explicitly written out in the Constitution, and it's what the Patriot Act's based on. It's what every single government surveillance thing is based on. Is the implied but not explicitly stated right to privacy. It's
but like,
the only avenue of
what's
protection we
privacy
have
have
is
to do
through
with Roe v.
property.
Wade? Because like Roe v. Wade is for the abortions, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly. It's a woman's
so,
right to privacy for her medical records. That's why it got overturned. Is actually because they made an argument for a woman's right to privacy rather than a medical doctor's right to practice medicine. So this is actually a very interesting story about like what legal framework they created for that law. But if you want any inroads within our system, it's about property definition, management, and ownership, and defining ownership. Privacy will not get you anywhere. Clearly, that's why the government can literally hack our phones at any point.
I would have figured that you would have. I don't know. I guess I just don't see the difference between like the property and the privacy thing, because you want like privacy for your property, or like, but not for anything
Well,
else.
that's where it gets right. That's where it gets interesting, is drawing that line between what's the like, what if you own the privacy? You have property
Well,
within
what do you mean
yeah.
by owning the? Because like, if it's a
Good question.
registered firearm, they would know because there'd be records of you buying it and everything, right?
Yeah, but see, you're already implying, like, you're already assuming guilt right there. The
No, what do you
property,
mean
the
no?
property line would be at the lock container. It would be like a lock on your door, right, or a lock on your phone, or a lock. Yeah, anything that you have privately secured that you on your person or within your land or car, whatever. Those are the boundaries that you set up. And you have to have some external validation as to why you need to remove that property through process. So you have that's where it gets constitutionally, right? That's where it's like you have an implied right to privacy, not explicitly. I agree with you though. I mean, like, privacy, I think, should be or at least ownership of your identity should be explicitly front and center in a lot of these cases. But the way that the law is currently constructed, privacy is not going to get us anywhere. It's the right to property and ownership.
Right.
Yeah, hopefully
We
that
got
made it
kind of
clear.
off track. It was supposed to be like, if we thought people were inherently good or bad. I just picked like a
Oh
privacy
yeah,
example from another country, because I don't think like ethically across the board in the world that like I don't think some countries are run by ethically correct people. I do
like
think
our
that there
country, for
is bad
example.
people in the world. Satan. Sorry, Hitler wasn't a good guy. There are just like bad people in the world that I don't think would turn good if you loved them. Like, I don't think that's enough. Some people are just like bad, and there's like something wrong with their brain or something. I don't know what it is.
Mm.
Um, but I guess like, yeah, I wouldn't. That's the other thing too, is like the legal implications. You wouldn't want like a bad actor to take advantage of something set up like this, where like you're having traumatized people being there for other traumatized people. Like, someone could use that.
Alcoholics Anonymous does that.
Well, Alcoholics Anonymous is
All we're
it's
doing
kind of
is setting up
mandated.
fellowships of people to heal each other. Like, I went to Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous too, and there's a lot of people who do 12 steps for obesity and all different things. These are just people helping each other that have similar issues.
But there's like someone who's overseeing it and stuff, and
no, we don't need anyone to oversee. That's the myth, is that we need these medical professionals.
It's pretty well self-organized. I mean, you bring up it's called a free rider problem, right? It's somebody who takes advantage of the current system, especially one that's altruistic, and this is a big reason why these things fail, is because there's no cost to entry, there's no investment, so people join and then they take advantage of it. So that's an issue, and the way that you solve that, I mean, is one, what's your intents of being there? And then once you're there, what are the frameworks to help you like get better? And that's why every single, if you're going to really get somebody.
AA's never had any scandal or controversy.
Well, that's what I was getting to. In order to get people to really commit and sacrifice and change, you need God in the equation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, God is a grounding, infinite presence.
And yeah, you can't have AA without God.
As a founding principle.
And you need it for a spiritual awakening.
And that shows up in order to have like that spirituality and that community, that itself is healing. And if you look,
John and I put God in the center of our relationship.
And if you look at the metrics for drug recidivism, marital relationships, marital happiness, community happiness, community retention, religious benchmarks vastly outperform just straight ungrounded psychology, and that's why people go to these things. I mean, really, if you want to get off the sauce, your best chance is to go to a religious background thing, like Alcoholics Anonymous. You want to rebound from heroin use? Go to church.
I guess but there is Narcotics Anonymous too. Yeah. So like you go there. I guess like it isn't. I don't know. I was just like reading over the Wikipedia page is long for it, but it looks like I was found by like a psychologist. It says that it is a global peer-led mutual aid fellowship begun in the United States dedicated to abstinence-based recovery from alcoholism. So yeah, through spiritually inclined 12-step program. Yeah, I don't see anything. I would have thought the government had some affiliation with it if like it's one of the things that you have to do. I guess I've heard of people having to go to Alcoholics Anonymous if like there's
no government affiliation. That's what's so cool. There's no dues or fees, and you can never get kicked out.
Yeah, it's impressive. I mean, it speaks like that the tenacity of the organization and the value there, but also shows it's tough. I mean, you're really offloading like a lot of the problems onto culture, right? And so like the ethics within the culture, and then also like the trust of the community is really like the biggest thing that kind of helps people overcome a lot of these things. And it's powerful though. I mean, it works, but I want to make you like understand like, oh, like just have God in the equation. Oh, just start a community, right? Oh, just go to church. That's not that easy. It takes years of trust and working with the community and working within.
I think it's easy to turn everything over to God. You don't think it's easy?
I mean, you have to live a long life, man. Like it's not a one-time thing, right? It's when you're in the worst position.
Easier than doing life on your own terms.
But that,
I don't know about that. Like if you're inherently a good person, then like technically you shouldn't even need God, right? Because you're just already practiced like all the teachings.
When I turn my life over to God, everything's perfect.
So that's a good point. Can you be good without God? Is your question. Yeah. Now, it's a bit of a catch-22 because you're kind of taking the same route but longer, right? From the infinite, from the perfect, from the good, from the true, all things flow. Okay, so if you're looking for an eternity, like that's what a good thing is. If it's good now, it's good later, it was good, it always will be. So that infinite and perfection you can find, but you need to take everything into account. And what are you striving towards? So it would be like, a blind man wandering along a path, right? Sure, they'll stumble through the woods and get maybe hit the path once in a while, but it would be a lot easier if you were just guided through it with somebody that's either been there before or knows the history, because that's what a lot of the religious text is, right? It's a recorded history of all of our mistakes,
But like, take something for
all
like
of
the
the
12
good things that
commandments,
we've
for
worked
example,
on.
right? Like, thou shalt not, I don't know them off by heart, but like, not kill, not be stealing, be good to thy neighbor. Like, you could follow all of those things and not even be religious, right? Like, you just, like I said, you just be a good person, just be in your nature. So then, like, that's why I think, like, you know, I'm not, and I don't have anything against religion. I think, like, if you're
Sure.
religious, that's awesome. Like, if it benefits you, that's great. But I just don't think like it's a necessity, I guess.
So I'll go. Your point's very good. And one of the big things that, not only in terms of defining what good is and how to be good, that we've tried and tested over thousands of years, but it's the path to redemption. Okay. So not only for the good person, the perfect person, but let's go with someone that isn't perfect, that makes mistakes, and is still a good person. Religion, Christianity specifically, but other religions as well, they offer a path to redeem those ills. And that's the thing, is like my question to you, when we're talking about good people, who's good in these two scenarios, right? The person who was born into everything, never tested a day in their lives, everything was handed to them, everything was easy. They had no real challenges. They didn't have to make a tough call about whether they're going to get evicted or house somebody, for example. They just had it.
You
Or
could
the
still be a bad
person,
person and have
or the
everything though.
person,
Like,
or the person who has nothing, has made big mistakes in their lives, and then when given the opportunity to do those same horrible things as somebody else, doesn't do it.
but like it could work both ways though, right? Like you could have the most amazing upbringing and still end up being like a shit person. It's all about like how you decide to use, what you have available to yourself, right? I think it's
What?
very admirable. Like if you have gone through a rough time in your life and you still have that compassion to help people, like that's amazing, right? And I would understand if someone who was hurt wanted to hurt other people. Like that's completely understandable. But then again, that's not fair to an innocent person who has nothing to do with that. And that's why I think like there should be consequences for certain things as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is like it's a tricky situation, I guess, or it's an interesting discussion.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got here actually. Oh, I think it was like the AA thing.
Well, let me ask you a
Yeah, because like
question, Steve. If you take that person who did something terrible and you want them to do something different that considers others and is less harmful, what if punishing them makes that person worse off, and meeting them where they're at in their stage of developmental learning and growth, and allowing them an opportunity of feeling like they make sense, like they're cared for, and like it's okay to make mistakes because they can learn and grow, they're more likely to learn if they're received with a warm welcome than if their mistakes are received with shame and malice and criticism and judgment and punishment.
Well, I can almost like I can get on the same page there because like I don't know if you're familiar with like I can't remember what documentary it was, but there's like a murderer in Norway. He was like chopping people up with chainsaws and everything. And instead of like jail, they just like I think he still kind of went to jail, but it was like a bougie jail, like it was more of like a getaway.
So he learns
Um,
how to live in where he learns how to basically live in a healthy way instead of just living the way he was.
Yeah, they rehabilitated him, and then now he's out chopping trees down with a chainsaw again. And in America, that would never fly. He would a chainsaw murderer would first like probably not see the light of day again. If he did, then he wouldn't be able to get a job chopping trees down with a chainsaw, and no one would rightfully trust him to do so. I don't know what they're doing in Norway, but like I do think that the prison system how it's set up now,
No one
most of them are
repeats.
private for profit. I don't agree in that. Um, I do think that there should be some kind of change, but I just like going back to what I was saying before. I don't think intercepting 911 calls is how we start. Like it's very superhero way of thinking, and I appreciate that because you are a superhero, Daisy, right? But I don't want to see you back in jail. Jail wasn't fun, right? Like we don't want to go back to jail.
Well, I was doing God's work in jail, and I was already bringing all the women together. I walked into the 3800, so I was in K9, and it only goes up to K10. So K10, you wear orange. K9, you could wear blue, or yellow. And if you wear blue, it's like, okay, she'll listen. She's cool, but she's violent. So I was with all the murderers and people with gun charges and the violent people, like almost the most violent. And I basically walked in and I said, I'm here to bring us all together. And that's what I kept telling all the women. And I was booping them on the nose, and women were trying to pick fights with me, and I was winning them over left and right. And I mean, I didn't want to stay in jail, but God and I were definitely having that conversation. There was a minute where God was like, hey, some of your work needs to be done here. Your work's really important, and jail and prison might be the place for you. And I was really hoping God would send me back to the beach, but I mean, I was willing to do my work right there in jail too.
Well, that's making the best of a bad situation. What if, like, God forbid we go back to jail? What if there's a worse batch of killers in there that aren't so receptive? Like,
I'm a healer, so those are my people.
So
and they're all receptive because people love whoever loves them.
So I'll say, I've had guns, knives, like threats to my. I've been around some pretty tough individuals. Okay, I've been to jail, done a lot of horrible things, and I have never, as long as I was peaceful and kind and treated them with respect that they never were given, I've been treated fine. Like, you know, and this is not a small sample size. You know, I pray, I feed, and I help a lot of people who most people would consider them just beneath them, right? And you know, I'm not saying that like everything is a change overnight, but you know, when you come at somebody with the category that you are a failure and not even worthy of like God's love or any sort of help or any humanity, like that is what you create. You know,
people act how you
don't treat someone like an animal and then be surprised when they behave like an animal. You know what I mean? Putting him in cages and denying them basic human rights. You know, like what kind of person do you think you're going to create in there? So like that's what we have to think about. And yeah, I mean, it's a difficult question, right? Do I want to trust an axe murderer to be cutting down my trees? I mean, if he's good with his axe, cut down the trees,
like,
bro,
I think away from people,
and I'll pay you for it.
It all depends.
But like let's like not do that again. Sorry, what were you saying?
I guess it all depends on like the motive and everything too, and if he's like around people. I guess that be a deciding factor for me at least. I forget the other thing I was gonna say, but like fuck, it was there. It's okay. That'll come back. It'll come back. But yeah, no, I mean, like, I don't think we're too, like, I can appreciate like where you guys are coming from for sure. I still don't think like jail's a fun place. Like, I don't think we should be trying to go to jail. It's probably not the best idea.
We don't think anyone should go. There's only empty time and drugs and violence, and people don't learn there.
It's also a factory. So let's just like remember the idea of what a prison was supposed to be. A modern concept of a prison. It was about reform, getting people back to working, getting people back to being productive members of society, and like providing outreach and like a follow-up process once they're done. What it has become is it's just a factory of indentured servitude and debt slavery.
Right.
That's what they're creating. I mean, like that is what it is. And like, you know, there's certain things that you should not have for profit involved in. probably shouldn't pay jailers and prisons money for every new person that they admit. I mean, that probably sets up a bad incentive, right? Why do we have more prisoners than any other country in the developed world? Like,
I don't think prisons should be privatized. I'm with you on that.
yeah,
For sure.
I mean, the
the
private
thing you're
sector
saying before
provides if
about,
you
like,
pay it.
being treated like an animal, I was gonna say that, like, usually you have to act like an animal to be put in jail, to be treated like an animal, you know what I mean? So it's kinda like, obviously, there's
We
different
didn't.
degrees of things, right? But, I don't think that, like, a lot of non-violent crime should be met with jail time. Okay, so for, like, tax fraud, let's use tax fraud for an example. You're not hurting anyone. Maybe that's, you shouldn't commit tax fraud, but, like, should you go to jail for it? Like,
I'm
maybe
the
house
complete
arrest.
opposite as you, dude. I
They should go
think
to
the
jail?
people who commit tax fraud, the white collar crimes, all that bullshit that like people get off and just go to whatever, like a fucking vacation. I think that if we're gonna have a rule, it's enforced equally. Okay.
But it
And
doesn't
that
make any sense
if
to
we're talking
me.
about the same,
Well, think about it for a second. As a taxpayer, why are we sending the person who didn't pay their taxes to a place that I'm funding with my taxes? You know what I'm saying? That doesn't make any sense.
dude, the whole
Um,
system doesn't make any sense. But if we're gonna punish people, and that's what we agree with, everybody should be given the same punishment for the same crime.
no, I agree, but I'm
You know what I
saying
mean?
I don't think jail is an appropriate sentence for someone who's like committing tax fraud or something. Should they? I don't even know what an appropriate punishment for that would be because I don't even necessarily believe it's like fully in taxes, I guess. But let's say
Debtor's prison, exactly. It's a debtor's prison, which didn't work out, but we have that now. But we have debtor's prison for people who can't pay debts, but for the people who can, they just get out.
That's
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah, I think
it's weird.
nonviolent. Like, I don't think you should be locked away from society unless like you're a threat to someone physically, I guess. Maybe there'd be some exceptions, like people who are good at manipulating. Like Charles Manson, he convinced people to kill other people, right? That's probably the best guy to have out in the world. So I'm sure there's some exceptions, but that's just usually how I feel. And I think we like hackers. We can use hackers for an example. They have a good skill set. They could, instead of putting them in jail, I don't know how many hackers are in jail, but they could probably use them
Well,
to.
that's what the government does, right? Is they basically take the cream of the crop of criminals. Well, so there's a whole issue with enforcement because all of our data from illegal activity is based on the C students, the ones that got caught. So like the problem is our data is skewed to the least successful criminals because all the good ones got away with it or work in the government. And the other thing is, or for big companies, the other thing is to think about, what can we do to improve this? Because it's not being enforced equally. It's not fair. And, the same rules and laws that are being applied to some are not being applied to others. And if we're going to have I don't think that there's a magical world where we don't have to incarcerate, like we don't have prisons. But I think, we shouldn't be literally creating criminals just to keep them in prison, adding charges, making it impossible to do basic things, putting people in a situation where they have to commit a crime in order to survive. And then they pick up more charges because they're like, oh, well, I have no choice now because all my money and stuff is gone. So, yeah, in jail, it's really easy to pick up charges. So, I mean, the thing is let's work towards a system where it's harmonious and we can have just community members working with each other to solve problems at the point of contact. Right now, I would settle for people just being able to freaking get on a bus to their court case. Like, can we just do that? Just to start?
Maybe. I guess because like the community thing, that would be another question I guess I'd have is like, how would we vet these people to make sure that they're good people to help the people that need help? You know what I mean? Or vice versa. Because, yeah, like I think Mudpip was saying, like you need to be qualified for some of these things for sure, right?
So it depends. I mean, and we're once again open to any suggestions, really. This is an open conversation. We don't have like all the right answers, But for example, just the fact that you know that someone cares and is there for you, and they will be responsible for your outcome. Like if your bad behavior reflects poorly upon them, you're part of something greater than yourself. It creates a damage mitigation and a little bit of it creates an ethical restraint on people's bad behavior. A lot of times people act out because they're like, well, fuck it. Everyone hates me
Wouldn't that be
anyway.
like putting a consequence on your actions though? Isn't that basically the same thing as like, I don't know, being punished for stuff? Like, because
Jail.
you're putting something in the back of your head, like if I do this, I'm not going to because it's going to have a consequence negatively on someone else. Right?
I mean, life's about choices. There are costs to your behavior. But the thing is like there's a difference between being like you're going to be punished for this action, and then the other one, you're going to be punished versus, hey, people are relying on you. People are relying on you to do the right thing. You know, like we're willing to pick up the slack here and there, but you got to try. You got to at least try to better yourself because you're helping us. That is much
I guess like
stronger.
most people should already have that like in their lives, like with a family member or their significant others or something. So like what would be, I guess, why would this a person that I've never met before mean more to me than like my wife or my kids? Like wouldn't I be wanting to do that more for like my immediate family then?
No, want to influence people, not scare them.
It depends.
Across the board.
It depends. I mean, like depends on the situation, but sometimes the most random ass person coming in your life and offering help means the world to you because that's the person that's available to help you at the moment. I've been that person and that person's been there for me. So it's like, who the fuck are you coming out of nowhere to save my ass? Like that is, and then you walk away from that. Maybe you never meet the person again, but you're profoundly changed because that means it's a good deed, right? Like you're not getting rewarded. You're never going to see this person again. And someone comes out, an angel comes out of nowhere and be like, yo, you got this. You can do it.
I can even acknowledge too that like it's probably in some instances easier for someone to talk to like an anonymous person. That's why like I think it's the Catholics, they have that like confessional thing where you can't even like see the priest, like you just kind of talk to them. But like you could even set up like I don't know, something that they can't like see who they're talking to.
Remote confessions. That's a great idea, Steve.
Something like that. You can make like an AI. But then like that's a lot of legal risk too, right? But it's also like
protected speech actually. Actually, that might get rid of all the legal barriers right there.
What's that?
If it's part of your
step, it's when you tell another witnessing presence what you've done or what your shortcomings are, what your inventory is. And you say it to another person and to God.
And so you, just to clarify our terms of what confession and Catholicism, what we're talking about redemption, right? If you were to, and this is, people confide in me a lot of things because they trust me. And the reason why they trust me is because they're not telling me, they're telling God. I'm a messenger, right? I'm a vassal to help them talk to God. I'm useless. I'm worthless. I do not have any other purpose than that. And you can tell me whatever you want to in private, and I will listen and not judge and try to help you talk your way through this. And that's a big difference, right? That's not the same
divine soundboard.
Yeah, that's not the same thing as like talking to a psychologist where you're putting it all on them. It's like, listen, I have no idea who you are or what you're going through. You have my sympathies. I can listen. There are people that care and God cares. That's what we have for you. That's
right. And you're saying like we wouldn't be able to like put this into an app because like privacy reasons or whatever.
I don't know. I mean,
through nonviolent communication groups, so people would have fellowships to go share their feelings and their needs, and then they literally give you a vocabulary list, and you go into breakout rooms and you share your struggles and celebrations in terms of your body sensations, emotions, which are your feelings, and your universal needs. So psychology, like back in the day used to be, oh, talk about what happened and keep going over it over and over again. But now we have neuro-linguistic programming and hypnotherapy and somatic experiencing and EMDR. And now we know that we can process trauma and heal it right on the spot just by simply feel it as it comes up. And we do not need mental health professionals for this. We just need another witnessing presence that is attuned to us and God. And God, a lot of people are like, oh, but I'm agnostic. Okay, power greater than yourself. We are all subatomic particles vibrating in an entangled state. And if you don't believe in God, get a microscope and just keep looking until you see the particle blinking. That's you and every other particle in the universe. We're all connected, we're all one, and we're all divine. So whatever our higher power is, it could be like subatomic particles, it could be the witnessing presence, it could be Mother Earth, but we need to have a higher power in order to do this work. We have to believe that there's something greater than us.
Or it could be just something as simple as just, helping somebody just right in front of you. There could be a purpose in that too.
Your higher power could also be the group conscious mind, because if we're just one mind, we're stupid. Right now, the world emerges in scarcity, so everyone has to separate and go mobilize to meet their needs. What results is a world of powerlessness. When we are together, we're not stupid. We're way smarter because our brain can tap into the invisible hive intelligence. That's the group conscious mind. And when our nervous system co-regulates with other nervous system, just like the trees have information from the tree that's at the very beginning of the forest, has information it shares with the tree in the very center of the forest. Like our group conscious mind is the exact same. We're smarter because we're supposed to move and breathe together like this. And right now we're all having a healthy reaction to a world that emerges in scarcity, operates in separation, and results in powerlessness. So the first step is coming together, which is why we're creating these fellowships of community members to help each other. And I know it's all off the website, but it's going to get back up there again because Daisy the Venice Healer is in charge. And John may be leading us and his name may be on everything and he may be getting all the glory, but I'm the visionary genius behind it.
I think your name's on everything. John was taken.
He's in charge of everything. I don't want my name on anything. I just want to be Daisy the Venice Healer.
Yeah. Well, you mean like your legal name? I thought that. Yeah, it's like branded as Daisy.
No, like I don't want anything. I just want John on everything because I need to be able to just be a superhero.
I think you guys kind of balance each other out good because like you seem like almost opposites. John's a very God man who likes the law and stuff, and Daisy, you're very spiritual in a different way and out here to help everyone and wants to push those boundaries and push the envelope. I think you should listen to each other, because you obviously
we say no to each other a lot. We help each other not be as reckless, and we do balance each other out really well. And we put God in the center of our relationship.
To her, John, when she's saying maybe we should leave the cops. I think you should listen to her. I think Daisy, you should listen to John. He's like, maybe we shouldn't take on all this legal liability with the suicide thing. Just the suicide. We can start there, baby steps. I don't think you should put that back up personally, but you guys complement each other well.
It's pretty fantastic. I mean, that's what's cool is like we'll disagree and stuff.
But we listen to each other.
Yeah. I've learned a lot.
Oh, he did listen to me, by the way. He left the courthouse.
I mean,
yeah.
Yes,
and then you encouraged him after Daisy. I was like, what the fuck? When I watched that, I was like, oh my goodness. You're like, look.
Well, I support him no matter what. Everything he does, I would do.
Yeah, but I even said this when I was writing to you. You have more experience like with these kind of scenarios than I think John has, right? Like, yeah, like you've been doing this for a few years.
And now, I know when the jig is up. I know when they're.
I know my rights clearly.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I know when they're about to arrest us and shoot us. I know when it's time to run away. I like to skate right on that line.
I mean, every single time I've ever talked to police, they've always been very cordial and within their reasonable behavior. I mean,
You're
I
being
didn't. We
pretty
didn't have a
mean to
problem.
them though, John. You were like, rah! I can't remember exactly what you were saying, but I was like, Jesus jumping. No. It was
I mean,
hard.
they're
Have
big.
you watched it? Like you uploaded the videos, but I'm assuming you watched them back then, right? Would you have like did the
I haven't watched
situation
them
the
yet.
same way?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have.
I didn't do anything wrong, and neither did they.
Are you gonna bring the lockbox some more I mean, like you're not protesting.
No,
You guys
it's
aren't
gone.
protesting right
They
now.
took it. It's gone.
Oh,
And
you
you
took the
bring it
lockbox?
around me again because I'm not allowed to be around those.
I mean, I'm
Okay.
allowed to have lock containers,
I'm not allowed to be around it.
so I think
We're
we've
not gonna
established that.
we're not putting ourselves in that position.
So we'll make sure that. Yeah, there you go. I'm going to be as I have been, legally compliant and peaceful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't tell the cops to shoot you. That's not a good idea.
He did.
Well,
I know he did. He was like, I told
he
them to
did.
shoot
He
me.
told them. I was scared to death. He's like, if you're gonna point that thing at me, shoot me. I was like,
yeah.
Well, I mean, like, I just want to be like clear here.
No violence.
Like, yeah, as I said to anybody that's shoved a gun in my face, if you're gonna pull your dick out, dude, use it. Okay. If you're not, put it away. I don't need to see that because I'm not fucking flashing that shit at you. Talk to me like a human being or shoot me like an animal. I got better things to do than to stare down the freaking itchy trigger figure of a rookie. All right, like don't give me this shit.
Well,
Come
no,
on.
they were fully trained because they missed your junk and stuff.
Yeah.
Right, that could have been bad. That could have been way worse. Way worse.
He didn't even flinch. And then he goes, you guys just shot me in the chest and I didn't even flinch.
Well, his leg.
I know, but you said the chest.
No, whatever.
You said chest. I remember everything. I know they didn't shoot you in the chest, but that's what you said. I think you thought they shot you in the chest.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. It was a good shot.
It was a good shot.
Good shot.
No, I mean, like, if I was looking
you have a gun. Do you have a felony too? I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, that sucks for you.
Well,
I was like, I know.
You guys shouldn't. I don't think you guys should have brought it, especially if you couldn't even access it. But the past is the past. We're not going to protest anymore, so that's good. I think you guys should do like, I don't know, live streams or something. Maybe not even. You could do edited videos, like promoting the website. Maybe I should be encouraging this, but like, I just don't want you guys out there protesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, we're gonna be protesting after all the court stuff's over. We're just gonna be good for a little bit.
Daisy, why do you hate Trisha so much? You and I think Cleveland
I
Housewives.
love Trisha.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah.
Trisha, when you boop on the nose, she gives me all that attention, helps making me famous. Tell her thank you.
Who's Trisha?
She's this girl that knows everything about me, and she gets really angry. She's like,
asking when you guys are getting evicted. Is that the end of the month?
That's what she's like, Daisy. I'm like, Trisha, you're so passionate.
Very passionate.
Oh, she says, boot me and lose an arm.
No.
She was asking when you guys are getting evicted. So is that like are you just being threatened with eviction, or are they like actually evicting you?
It's threatened.
Threatened. So they're like saying like, if you bring in any more people, like you're gonna get evicted, kind of thing.
Pretty much. Yeah. Or we get more noise complaints.
Noise complaints. Okay. Well, what are the noise complaints? Is it
John and I yell at the community.
Yelling and
yeah, we get mad at the community and we yell at them sometimes.
And blasting
out the window?
We don't blast music. No, we yell at the community. Tell the truth, John.
At the window, or like just because
we'll just do speeches.
Okay.
John jumped on this like roof, like the roof to the laundry room, and did a speech to the.
Well, it was only because they threatened to evict me. I mean, I'm
He was
pretty.
like,
I'm a
I will
pretty.
help who I want.
I'm a pretty direct person. I mean, you know, I said something to the effect of like, you know, I'm gonna help.
If you evict us, we're just gonna invite all the homeless people to come. Because then we'll have nothing to
So
lose.
my wording, I think, was, if you guys threaten to evict me one more time for helping like a woman and her child, I will park every single person I have ever fed right outside your door, and they are going to be screaming and ranting and raving God's word from the Bible for the next freaking 48 hours. I said something like that.
And then I was
But you
like,
gotta
yeah,
love
you
thy
better
neighbor. That's
listen.
one of the commandments. You can't be causing your neighbors a ruckus. You know?
No, that's don't steal from your neighbors. Well, anyway,
Don't
I
hook
don't
up
know.
with your neighbor's wife.
don't hook up with your neighbor's wife.
Hook up with your neighbor. Oh, I think that is one. Something like
It
that.
is something
Let's
like
see.
it.
We
Oh
can,
man,
should be able to pull it up.
it's don't covet your neighbors. Don't covet your neighbors.
Yeah, but no one says covet. They say hook up now.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's the slang, you know. You can't murder people. You can't steal. You can't false witness against what?
Thy
False witness
neighbor.
against thy neighbor?
Yeah,
What is
false.
that?
That's lie. That means lie.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Okay.
you can't commit adultery. Honor thy mother and father. Remember the Sabbath. That's Sunday. That's what you were talking about. Weren't you? Was that a Wednesday that you were saying that?
It
Or
might
was
have
it
been.
next
I don't remember. I think it was July 3rd.
That was a Wednesday.
Yeah, it was a Wednesday.
That's Wednesday. Why were we talking about Sabbath on a Wednesday, John? I'm just curious.
That's a good question. I mean, essentially, what I was talking about is, it was a parable about Jesus healing somebody on the Sabbath, right? And so the Sabbath is a time where you're supposed to rest according to the ethics, but man created the Sabbath for God. God created the Sabbath for man, right? We didn't create the Sabbath for God. The point is that even if you have a situation where you're in the middle of something, like you're supposed to be resting or you're at work, there's time to do the right thing. Jesus worked a little bit on the Sabbath to heal somebody, even though it was a Sabbath, and the leaders came after him. They gave him a technical foul, like, you're supposed to not do anything here. Like, you can't be working. You're helping people on a day off. And I was just basically like, well, you know, you're working right now. You can still do the right thing. You're resting right now. You can still do the right thing. You don't have to follow ethical constraints to good behavior, right? Or use them as an excuse, at least. That was the
Yeah.
message.
I remember you being like, just don't do your job and they can't fire you. I think that's what something said, right? So I thought like not working on the
There's a
Sabbath
bunch
was
of
like
different ways to
yeah.
say things, you know, but
Mhm.
I mean, my most pointed critique of the government is you can't get fired. So like, that's my one question to you government workers. You know, if someone's making you do the wrong thing, just don't do it.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get fired.
I guess there's different opinions on what's right and wrong, maybe depending on like what we're looking at. I don't know. I'm just seeing if do you want to like field any questions? What's that?
They fired Roger. He's a government worker.
Who's Rob? He's a government worker for what?
He was in the bathroom.
No, he was just, I think he was a homeless guy in the bathroom that used to work for the government.
It was a sanitation guy.
The sanitation guy. Yeah, I don't know.
They fired him for being in the washroom?
I'm not telling what he was doing.
Yeah. Maybe we'll move on from that. But yeah, we'll take questions.
Yeah, we can. I only have 2 other rumors if you want to do them. If not, then that's cool too. I don't know what the questions will be here. Some of my audience is spicy against you, but I
Same
mean,
here.
like, yeah, I'm sure. The only other 2, there is a rumor, John, that you were on Grindr and you were killing it on there, and that you're very popular. Is that true, or is there like someone impersonating you on Grindr? I haven't seen it, so I don't know if it's like legit rumors or what.
So I didn't have the money for Daisy's bail, so I went on Grindr and sent some pictures. I sent pictures out of us like on a motorcycle asking for like donations. I did a gay funding.
And you
And
did a striptease for me at jail too.
I did
I
do a
remember you
full.
told me about
I
that.
did do a full strip tease for her in the middle of
And the
Sheriff's office.
jailer came in. He was in his underwear, and John was totally confident. He was like, the guy's like, it's time to go. He's like, cool.
Cool, but
Well, yeah, John, I seen you walking
I
around
mean,
like Venice Beach, and you went up to all those bikers.
yeah, they were cool, but
Yeah, John needed to get money to bail me out, so I told him to put our pictures on Grindr and ask for money, and he did.
well, I had to make $500 in like an hour for the bail bonds before the bail bondsman went home. So,
but they still made me go to court the next day.
And this is what happened: is I sent a GoFundMe link, literally just explaining exactly the situation with a picture of me without my shirt on, that I have on Facebook, and I was banned in about 20 minutes. So guess I wasn't that popular.
From the GoFundMe?
No, from Grindr.
Oh, from Grindr.
Yeah, I made it about 20 minutes of like, yo, can somebody help? And then they were just like, no dick pic. Sorry, banned.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's how that genius idea worked out. But I even said, I'm like, hey, if I can't make 30 minutes, if I can't make $500 in 30 minutes on Grindr, then I'm a complete failure. And yeah, I didn't make anything. So thanks. I guess I'm not as hot as I thought. So whatever.
Oh, this is a good question. Because you said before that you were working 2 jobs. I know that you said you got fired from the one. What happened?
Not anymore. I'm working 1 job now.
1 job now. Is that the call to love?
I guess I get two jobs. Sorry, what'd you say?
Is that the call to love then? Like you're taking that
I
up?
have another company that I work for.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to get into it or anything. Like I don't want like anyone like trying to look you up or anything like that.
It's like a sauna place. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Can you do jazz?
Oh yeah. What's your name? Trisha? Trisha, I was working 2 jobs.
Wait, why are we?
And then I got fired.
Trisha's a bitch. Don't talk to her.
What? I thought you said you loved Trisha. What?
I didn't say that. Stevie Meany said that.
Oh man.
Oh, do you have him?
Trisha.
I have a Turbo Daisy. I don't know where he is or she is actually.
Look at Stevie Meany.
You found them. You found him. I see that you said you lost him. I was like, oh no, that's it. That's the end of Stevie Meany.
I'm gonna make one for Trisha too.
Oh, what are we? What's Trisha's gonna be?
Trisha's gonna have a little doll too. We're gonna put puppy pants on her doll. We'll get her a little trash can to pop out of, like Oscar.
Oh my! Oh my!
Beautiful.
The reason I asked you to do jazz hands, on your other hand, do you have a ring on right now, John?
I do.
You do? Whose ring is that?
So I went on a bunch of dates with this girl, and I told her basically, I think the last time we really talked, I told her like, hey, you've inspired me to wait for marriage. You know, this is a promise ring. I really care about you. And she laughed in my face, told me she didn't believe me, and after I walked her home, she just slammed the door in my face. And it was like the last time. So I wear it now to remind myself that I completely and totally failed at marriage.
Or she was a frigid bitch.
I promised that she made me really reevaluate what it meant to be in like a lifelong commitment. And I am wearing that ring, and I was wearing that ring, and I put it on specifically to try to like work on myself and be better. And she's the only woman who sat there, laughed at me, and then said, "You're a liar," and then just walked away from me completely. After I like tried very genuinely to do something loving and nice.
Okay.
Yeah,
because it is, I guess, a little odd to still be wearing it though, right? I guess like if it's for a reminder, I don't know. I just don't because the rumor was that like that is an engagement ring you bought yourself, and you only met her once. Like you only went on like I don't even know if it was a date, but you met her once. You're saying it's a promise ring though, and you just keep it on to remind yourself not to
Yeah.
to do marriage better or
Yeah. I mean, like, we can, it's, she said no. She told me to fuck off in a very pretty brutal way. Okay. You didn't make that very clear, and now it is, and it hurt worse than anything that I've felt in a relationship. So thanks.
But if you and Daisy get married though, like would you still have that ring on to remind you? Like would we get rid of it then? Like Daisy, how do you feel about this ring?
I don't mind it.
Don't mind it?
No.
No, okay. I think most women would probably mind it. That's why I
I'm
asked.
pretty smitten. I fell in love with my best friend, so I already knew everything about him. I met that bitch in court, and she's just a frigid bitch, and if he wants to wear her ring, he can.
Oh, okay. You're a very understanding person, Daisy.
And I'm very direct and open. So like I said from the very beginning, and whatever.
I told John I love him no matter what, and that if we end up together and he's my twin flame, then wonderful. And if not, and I go back to having a he hive and he finds the love of his life, then great. But whatever happens, I love him and I don't want him to change a thing. I just want him to be who he is.
Are you confident like the he hive would still be there if things didn't work out with John? Like, do you think they're waiting on you to come back kind of thing?
Oh, well, you know how he hives
No,
are.
men are,
The
dude.
men
They
are,
like
the men are
fucking
always
sharks.
dying and being replaced by other ones.
They're just waiting for me to fuck it up, and then there's always a shoulder to cry on, right? So,
well, I mean, like that's more motivation for you not to fuck up than John, right? That's
I guess. I mean, I've made mistakes, and Daisy's been like literally the only woman that has ever stepped up, defended me. I mean, she went to court with me, man.
He's been
So,
there
like,
for me too. Like today at the food line, I uploaded a video. This guy threw water on me. So John was in the middle of doing a sermon, and I'm going over to all of the enforcers who are supposed to be like my brothers. I'm like, yo, Boston, yo, smell good. I was like, do something. And finally I was like yelling at them, like, you cowards. And I turn around and John just like stopped doing his sermon and was like this close to the guy's face. And I was like, I mean, no one's ever stood up for me like that before. That was really great because I'm very loyal like that. You guys see Daisy, the Venice healer, is always standing up for everyone. And John and I have been that for each other ever since we met. The first time I met John, he was looking for his helmet, and I just saw like his eyebrows were up and his eyes were filled with like fear. And I was like, all right, you go that way, I'll go that way. And then ever since then, it's just been he and I both showing up to do God's work for each other, whether it's like, let me help this person find his helmet. Then right after, he took me and 2 other homeless people out to get coffee. And he invited me to get coffee. I was like, let me bring my 2 homeless friends. And that's John. Like, he'll stop, we'll be in a hurry somewhere, and if he sees someone sleeping next to the dumpster, he'll be like, hold on. And he'll go walk over 20 feet out of his way. Most people wouldn't even do that. And go ask him, are you hungry? And John's the only person I know who's like that. And I'm like that. And people wonder, like, why is Daisy always at the beach? Why is she always there when the camera's been there? Like, I've been there since before the cameras were there. And I go to the beach. I think the same reason why John does what he does. For me, like, I lost my kids and it's been so painful that I need to just go mother the whole beach and love everyone at the beach. I have to give away my spiritual awakening to hold on to it. And for John, like, John's been through his own stuff. I don't know his story yet, but I'm going to be interviewing him to get his story. But John's just like me. Like, he just turns everything over and goes to give it away. It doesn't matter how he's been hurt. He just gets more out of helping people and being there for people than anything. So, I mean, we put God in the center of our relationship. I trust that whatever is going to happen is going to happen. And if John wants to wear a ring or mourn some girl he's still getting over, to me, that just means that his love is so great and he loves so deeply and his love is really special. Because if he was talking shit about his exes and being like, I'm totally, completely over them, like that wouldn't be my John, because his love is too powerful for that. It's too epic.
Well, I can understand then why like you're attracted to him. Like he is a very generous person, even when he doesn't have the means maybe to help people. But that, like you said, if I was put in that position, I think I would probably do around the same thing. I'd say keep the noise down, you damn kids, and keep showers to 2 minutes or something. But like you know, he's obviously a protector. I think, John, you do need to listen to her though when she's telling you to calm down. I do know that you do stick up for what you believe in, Daisy. I was watching like a video from the past of you were like right up in this guy's face because he had taken, I think he pulled out the olive tree or something. He had like a piece of paper that he was like putting in front of you, and he was mad at Santa Monica Close Up for filming it and not doing anything, and that got intense. Like, but no, you held your ground.
You remember what I said to him?
I don't remember like specifically, but I remember you growling at him and stuff.
I said, Ungar, let's sword fight. And he goes,
Yeah,
this is not a sword, you bitch. It's a newspaper. I was like, it's an imaginary sword, and we're sword fighting.
That's a good video. I should get it pulled up for people. I don't know if everyone's seen it.
I wasn't even angry in it, and people made it out to be like I was angry. Yeah, I stalked that guy. I followed him he went all the way to the ocean. I followed him all over.
Yeah, he was like, I'm going to the police. You're like, I love the police. Let's go.
I ended up winning him over. He pulled out my garden one other time, and I just went over and talked to him and was like, hey, look, you know, I don't know if you were the one who did it, but if people do stuff like that and we take the time to talk to them, usually we could win them over. So that's what I did with that guy.
What was his reason for pulling out the garden? He just
because like some people say hi to me and I'm mean to them, and now I try to be nice to everyone. But before, like at the beach, it would be overwhelming at the beach because there's so much catcalling and stuff, and I don't want to say hi to everyone. But now I say hi to everyone, and yeah. But it was overwhelming before. I wasn't that friendly.
What did John the Bully do to you? Was he like that? Was he like kind of catcalling you and stuff? And is that why?
Yeah, John the Bully's been messing with me for over 3 years. And if he sees me, he'll cross the street. He'll stand in my way. I've had to hit him as hard as I can with my skateboard several times.
Don't do that.
I did. And then I maced him in his face twice. And the first time it did nothing. And I was like, there's no way that didn't work. So I did it the next day and I got him really good. And I was like, yep, it doesn't work. And I think he's been maced before because he just like wipes it away and he's like, oh, now my shirt's dirty. So yeah.
But like, that's not cool. So you can't mace people for catcalling.
You have to mace people for that. He's bad. He needed to get maced.
I'm not saying people should be catcalling each other, but I like that's.
He'll like stand in my way when I'm skateboarding and like, yeah, he's bad.
Like, ooh, like what's he doing?
Yeah, John got him to leave me alone. He doesn't bug me anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's good. See, and that
because I asked him nicely, I prayed with him, and was just a genuinely decent person.
But he didn't want to leave me alone.
Directly to their face instead of being a little bitch cunt and calling the cops.
Were you using the crazy eyes, John? So he knew? He was like, this is a prayer, but this is if you fuck this up, I'm gonna get you.
He talked to him for like an hour and he gets really quiet like this. It's so
you have to listen to him to pay attention.
He turns into like Wolverine cowboy.
Nice.
And then usually the guys go, I know you could beat me up and you're not.
Here's the thing about me, my man, is you know, it says it very clear in the Bible, but I didn't need the Bible for this one. If you come to me one-on-one and you ask me for anything, okay, I will move heaven and earth to help you if you really need help. Okay? You treat me like shit, you hit me in the face, you disrespect my women, you do anything like that, you're gonna bring out the animal in me. All right. I'm Irish, dude. Just give me an excuse. All right. I'll go to hell for it.
He told this guy today, I heard him on the phone, and the guy was trying to defend, like, Daisy, Daisy, blah, blah, Daisy. And John gets all quiet. He goes, look, there's only a couple things that get me really fucking crazy. And this is one of them. You don't mess with my girl. Uh-huh.
What did he do? What did the person do?
This guy threw water on me.
Oh shit. Okay. What did the person do when John like was saying that to him? Like he apologized or?
He stood very still as I got very close to him and whispered in his ear some very nice things.
And then he was on his way?
Yep.
John does that for anyone, though. This guy was beating up his woman right outside our window. I swear to God, you know how like Spider-Man will just be hanging out with Mary Jane and then Green Goblin's there and shit's going down? Like, that's seriously how John and I's life is. And it happens all the time. Like, we like argue about who's going to be the superhero. Like, this guy kicked this woman's ass and we're both running down there. And I'm like, why would you go first? I should go first because I'm all love and hugs and I can open people's hearts. He's like, no, the muscle has to go first because I'm strong and I can beat people up. And we're like arguing like what superhero should be there. And then I was like, we just have to be. All right,
basically, here's the thing. I can take a lot. I can take a lot of punishment, physical abuse. I'm a pretty tough guy, and I also know how to fight very well. Okay, if she is anywhere near a dangerous situation, it distracts me, and I get worried. Right, so I have to be.
What did I do next to that guy when you were talking to him?
It worked.
I went next to him and I started flipping my board.
I'm just trying to explain that, like, yo, if it's gonna be like that, just stay back and let me deal with it.
The only time I would ever get in a fight is if John was in a fight, then I would start fighting the person.
Well, I think you should put John first because he
I agree.
And then Daisy can kind of like be like, yeah, and this is what you're gonna do. And if they don't listen, John.
Me first. So John walked up to the guy and like intimidated him and scared him. And then I walked up to the guy and I was like, look, if someone hits you and hurts you, then you're gonna hit people and hurt people. You wouldn't be doing that unless someone did it to you.
But see, this is the thing, Steve, and this is why I love this woman, is because, bro, she is either right next to me or in front of me in incredibly dangerous situations trying to help somebody. And like, I don't even have to say anything. I look over to my aunt, she's already like going towards it. I was like, oh shit, here we go. So like, I've never seen a woman actually do that. Most women that I've seen, whenever there's like a conflict or anything where they have to step up and actually lead by example, they just hide, shy away, and do nothing. And I don't expect them to do anything really. But like Daisy has no fear. She goes right into the middle of the situation.
I always tell the guys they're gonna be fighting me too.
That's like, I respect that. There's a ton of videos of her just breaking up fights, like violent fights. You're talking about your little felons and criminals and murderers. Daisy don't fucking play no shit. She fucking goes right at them. And
don't
like,
you worry for her sometimes because of that.
Well, yeah, that's my point. Is like, let me, like, I've done that too. Just let me go first. But like, you tell her that, dude.
No, I think you should let John go first.
Go ahead,
you can still do everything. Just
people are less likely to hit me though.
Maybe
they are less likely to hit me.
They are, yeah. If they're a good person, right? But not everyone's good, right? There could be a bad person. It's
That's
very
why
lucky.
I know spinjitzu. Spinjitzu allows you to spin out of the way.
Oh, okay. Has like man ever tried to hit you? Like
yeah. Don, my friends and I enforce Wave Crest, and there was this huge guy, like 6'7", and he kept trying to attack everyone, and he tried to punch me. So I was like moving, like ducking the punches. And then he punched our friend Ken. And then Don was watching all this, and Don like sizes the guy up, jumps on him, tries to knock him over, but he falls off the first time. And the second time, he sizes him up again. And I watched Don, like the whole thing going on in his head, where he's like, okay, that didn't work. Let me try this. He jumps on this guy, and Don's short. Don's like, I'm 5'3". Don's like maybe 5'6", 5'7". He's not that tall.
Is this
Not
Don the same from the food drive?
Don has the long beard, and I'm always talking
Yes,
with
it
him.
is.
He's the Sages. Yeah, the food drive. So Don knocks the guy over, and then Don grabbed him by the leg and started dragging him off the boardwalk. Don grew up in the gang wars of East LA. So he's been a gangbanger since he was like 11 or 12. And so
That's
yeah,
that's a joke.
Don's dragging the guy off the boardwalk, and then the guy starts like kicking with his other leg. So then I just grabbed the other leg, and we both dragged him off the boardwalk. But instead of the other enforcers like beating the crap out of him, which is what happens, Don and I were both like talking him down, like, hey, you're too worked up. You're attacking everyone. You just punched Ken. You did this. So we're like talking him down. But the problem is my team is nonviolent, but the guys up the boardwalk and down the boardwalk are super violent. So then the violent enforcers come, and we were trying to help that guy, but he ended up getting his ass kicked in the alley because he didn't leave when we told him to. So then the violent enforcers come. But the John and I are nonviolent. Our friends are nonviolent. We try not to do.
Dude, I have like none of that. I just ask people to stop. Like, why are you doing this, guys? But anyway, we play stupid games and win stupid prizes.
Well, yeah, that's why I was like, don't bring the gun to the thing. Because that's kind of like the same.
That was a
reason,
stupid
right?
game.
Not the same game.
And a stupid prize. The prize was definitely stupid.
Not, your right to private. Sorry, now you got me saying it. Your right to your property is not a game. It's an inalienable right guaranteed by our
We don't even
Constitution.
need to bring that. Next time, we'll bring that. Yeah, Good.
Cool.
I guess like the only other thing, because Daisy, you said you were going to interview John to know a bit more about his life and stuff. Would there be anything that would be a deal breaker for you or anything like that? Like, are you scared, like dating someone, being so committed and not knowing like their full life story? Do you think you guys went into things too fast? I'm not even trying to like make you question anything, because I do think, like I said, you complement each other. I think you both should listen to each other.
Well, how many people know your entire life story?
I mean, there's enough about me online.
There's no deal breakers for me.
No deal breakers. I think he knows a lot about you, Daisy, right? Because we are kind of like online a lot. People know a lot about you, so I don't think there's anything that's going to surprise John. But I just,
Here's the thing. I've been very open and honest with Daisy about like everything. And she's the only woman that sat there and was like, "It makes sense."
Well, you're wearing another girl's promise ring. If she's not going to break up with you because of that, I don't think there's much that.
Yeah, but you forget like why I like punishment, and I also consider myself, I like to remember my scars and my failures so I don't make them again. And like that's what she taught me, was that I was not ready for the promises that I was saying. I never ever said that to a woman. I was never like, I want to marry you. Like, I'm going to do everything I can to make myself better. Got in the best physical shape of my life, did a bunch of amazing things that I never thought it would be possible. And I still failed. I failed so horrifically and completely.
He tried so hard to get
at my best. That was such a humbling experience. I want to remember every single painful moment of it, because
you even bought the motorcycle for her.
Oh, I mean, I did. I tried, and you know what? I had a shot at. I saw a beautiful, perfect person, and I gave it my best. Okay, and I couldn't live with myself if I didn't, and I'll remember that failure for the rest of my life because it made me a better person. That's why.
Yeah, no, I'm just
She's
saying,
a
like, if you
frigid
can get
bitch.
if
It's
you can
not
get
that
past
big of a
that
loss.
frigid bitch,
She's a frigid bitch. I saw her in court.
I mean,
so like,
I don't know,
but
call
what-
me confident, but I'm not worried about anything.
oh no, that's
I
good.
know I'm hot
That's good.
shit.
So there's nothing that would be a deal breaker then. Like you guys are pretty much locked in.
No, there's no deal breaker.
Good. Oh, that's good.
it's been lovely.
Hmm. I told him just do what I say. And I said, don't just do what I say and trust me, and I'll make you a very rich, powerful man. Yeah. Here, say hi to our neighbor Eli.
Hey guys.
Look how lovable you are. He's so
Hey, Eli.
lovable. Eli gave
Oh,
us
is this
this
a live
beautiful
stream?
flag. Look.
Eli was part
Yeah,
of our
it's live.
lawyer team. Eli was part of our legal counsel team that he was with us in like through the entire process. Him and his
Such a sweet
team
man.
basically made a 1 in 1,000 shot chance to help us with
Nice.
criminal defense.
You're so
These
sweet.
guy's a fucking G. Eli Mordecai.
Love you, man. This man likes Israel.
I do.
He's
I
pro
can
Israel.
tell. Yeah.
Look how handsome he is. Look at this hunk.
There we go.
Eli, isn't he handsome?
Oh, he's hot. He's fucking hot. Where's Ben? Oh, he already made it inside?
Oh, he's right there.
Oh, okay.
You might be tired. My Ben's my dog, by the way. So I got a dog.
Ben.
Ben. Ben
Very
was my
good.
profile pic for like a week, and you didn't even notice when I interviewed you. Ben was my
Really?
profile picture. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
that's nice of you, man. Thank you.
Yeah,
No,
I
that's
love
awesome.
Ben. He's a good dog.
He's a good dog.
Ben
Cool.
imprinted on me. He's my dog now.
Yeah.
Treat Ben good, Daisy. No tactics like
Oh no, he knows that I beat dogs before. I don't do that anymore.
yeah,
What?
don't do that.
I only did it once.
What?
Prince.
I only did it.
Okay, let's put it in context.
It's okay.
Prince grabbed my throat that night, and then I was like, "Oh, you're gonna grab my throat? I'm gonna hit your dog then." And then just it wasn't a good idea. And I told the internet, and now the internet will never let me forget about it. Yes,
Well, no, but you can understand why, right?
of
Like,
course. But I
like,
also,
I'm-
but in order to stop hitting, we have to be honest so that we can get creative and conscious and not do it again.
yeah, no, and I'm saying like, as long as
Don't
like
hit your
going
dog.
forward, you're trying your
I would
best.
never.
don't
I
do
love
it
that.
again.
I'll beat you up before I hit Ben.
That's fine. You can hit me.
I won't hit you. You're too strong. I already tried to fight you today.
All right.
No dogs. No
I tried to
dogs.
pin him down. I couldn't.
Mm-mm.
Mhm.
Just pick you up. But anyway, Steve, we've been going on for like 2 hours. Do you have
Yeah,
any
no,
more
I was gonna
questions?
say we can wrap this up. I was streaming before this, so I'm pretty burnt. Unless is there
Yeah.
anything you guys want to end on?
God bless you guys. I appreciate your work.
Oh
Come
no,
see us in Venice.
I want to
Yeah.
come
We're
visit
going to be
Venice.
doing
Actually,
teacher training for flow strokes, which is going to be huge. It's going to be
I don't know
bigger
about
than
flow
Bikram
strokes.
yoga.
If I do come to Venice, I'll hit you guys up. I'll just be on the boardwalk somewhere. We'll run into each other, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're there.
Yeah, exactly. Be fun times. All right, guys. Thanks for coming on. I hope you guys have a great night. And yeah, thanks everyone who showed up. Averaged about like 100 concurrent. So that was pretty good of you guys. Appreciate you and take care.
See you later, man.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.